Hey there, this is Ray Villalobos, and I want to show you how to do a centered menu with HTML and CSS. When we get done, we should have something that looks something like this, but I'm going to keep things a little bit simpler, and then I'm just going to point you to this finished version of the code. So first things first, I'm going to start off by creating just a empty JS bin. I'll start off by creating a nav, and I'm going to give it a class of site menu. So other than this, we're going to create also another div. It's going to have a class of nav wrapper. This div is actually what makes the trick work. What we're going to do is assign this div a display style of table, and that is going to allow us to center it horizontally. So then I'm going to create an unordered list with some list items and some anchor tags, and I'm just going to make my life easier. JSBin uses Emmet, which is an excellent shortcut tool, so I can do something like this and just create, say, something like 5 links really quick. And these will just have pound signs on them because I don't really need them to have anything. And I will do I'll do a branding area. So I'll say branding here, and then I'll do home. About us here. And I'll do one more, contact us. And I'll leave this one out of here. And just so you see that everything's working properly, I'm also going to add some sort of dummy content down here. So I will do headline. I'll go ahead and create a section called content here. So main class content, and put this headline in there, as well as just some dummy paragraphs. So I'll do P, and I'll use 5 paragraphs. And in Emmet, you can say something like this, P times 5, and then greater than sign lorem. That will create 5 paragraphs of lorem ipsum text. And this is just so that we can show that the navigation is not interfering with the content section. So that's pretty much all the HTML that you're going to need. So now I'm going to switch over to the CSS tab, and we'll start working on the styles that you need. All right, so I'm going to start by creating some basic body styles. We need to go ahead and clear out the margin and the padding that browsers add by default to any page. Otherwise, our menu won't be able to go all the way to the edge. So we'll need to do that, and if you want to, you can add some custom fonts here. I'm just going to set a background color. And I'm just going to then style this content area that I created just to make it a little different. So I'll say width 80%. And margin 0 auto. So that will be this content section right here, just to make it look kind of different than everything else. I'm also going to put in a different font here. So font, family, Helvetica, Arial, sans serif. But I usually load up some sort of Google font or something like that. All right, so let's just get into the good stuff. So if you remember, I gave my navigation a class of site menu. So I can go ahead and target that. And the main navigation needs to have a width of 100%. That's going to make sure that our navigation goes the full width of the browser window. Then I'll set a background color here. And I'm going to just put a border here. The next thing I want to do is target that extra element that I gave a class of nav wrapper. So if you remember, if you look at the HTML, there is this extra div right here with a class of nav wrapper that has my unordered list inside it. So I need to target that. I will do then site menu and use the child selector here to say target nav wrapper. And then here I'm going to add the display element of table and a margin 0 auto. The margin 0 auto is actually what centers the element, but if you don't display the element as a table, then you would have to specify a size. So I'll keep on going here, site menu. We need to take care of some of the things in unordered list. We'll do a padding of 0, a margin of 0 as well, and a list style type of none. Right? That gets rid of the bullets. Then we need to style the unordered list items. So we'll say site menu, unordered list item, and we're going to float these. So floating just puts something next to something else. So by floating this to the left, we're just saying, hey, put these all side by side. Now we'll do a site menu, ULLIA. This will be the links. So if you remember the HTML, each one of these list items has a link in it. This is where you want to add the padding. You don't want to add it to the list item. You want to add it to the individual anchor tags. And we actually need to float this to the left as well. So I'm giving this a padding of nothing at the top and 15 pixels on each side, just to space them out so you can see now they have a little more spacing in between them. And then I'm giving them a line height to control the actual height of the element. I could have done this with padding, but what this does is allow us to create a special class for the branding section. Say that we want to have one of those links be a little bit different. Right, so I'm adding a class of branding here on this list item. And what that allows me to do, let's go ahead and hide this HTML, is now to create a special branding sort of class of a list item. So we can say something like this. And we actually need to make sure that we add this class, not to the anchor tag, but to the list item. There, like that. Now you can see that it's the right color. So let's hide the HTML again. And now we can make this I can make this bigger than the rest of the links. If you want to, you can also make this bold. So remember, the reason that we did this line height is because otherwise, when you make this one bigger, these would tend to sort of move to the top. So by making them a consistent line height, it makes them all kind of have the same position vertically as well. And if we want to, we can use a color here. Of course, you can do a rollover if you want to. So and that means that whenever we move our mouse over these, they will take on this background color. Let's say that, for example, we're on the home page and we want to somehow highlight the fact that we're on the home page as opposed to one of these other pages. Then what we would do is, let's go ahead and make this kind of smaller again. Just in the same way that we have this branding class, we can add another one and we'll call it active. And now we can style this one so that it looks a certain way. So site menu, ULLI active. And we need to take care of the anchor tag. So let me just copy this one. Right, so now whenever one of these items is active, it's going to sort of look like a tab. And that actually looks pretty good. I think that's all we need. You can see that no matter how big I resize this window, that navigation is always going to be centered. And if you want to learn more about how to do this, you can go to this website, rabo.org, and take a look at this article. It has the full HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code right here.